teammates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. I am Tyler Schultz, your fearless leader here with you. So glad to have you with us. We have a loaded show on tap today, the latest from Chiefs OTAs, as we get an update on Isiah Pacheco that we'll be talking about here in our first segment. Also, we will break down why I believe the Chiefs' biggest flaw has been fixed on the offensive line. We'll explain more coming up in segment 2. In our third segment this afternoon, I will also tell you why I believe that the Chiefs wide receivers will shock the NFL this season. And then we'll wrap up today's show with a Q&A rumors mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's program. As you guys file in, shout out your city. Tell us where you guys are watching from, and we'll show you some love as we get this show started. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas, on this very fine Tuesday. Appreciate y'all being here. Hope you're having a great day. We are enjoying ourselves here on the show, and it's always a pleasure anytime we get the chance to talk Chiefs football. I got Paul checking in from Tonganoxie. Tony is in San Antonio now, his new home. He escaped El Paso. Yay. Good for you, Tony. Rated Dog is in Oklahoma City, checking in from the 405. I got Loren in St. Joe, home of Chiefs training camp. Got Blades in Germany. Where else you guys watching from? Let me know in the chat, and we'll shout you out as we get this show going today. What will be the Chiefs' record in 2025? If you had to give me the win-loss total, maybe you have a tie in there potentially. Get in that chat right now and let us know how you think this year is going to play out for the Kansas City Chiefs. As I see Mark checking in from Arkansas, KC70 is in Salem. I believe that's Salem, Oregon, the capital city there in Oregon. Good to see you, KC70. Let us know what you think the Chiefs' record is going to be this season. My official record prediction is 14-3, and I believe that's going to be good enough to get the top seed in the AFC. Rated Dog says, yes, sir. Ready to see the Thunder win this championship. Then both my teams have one championship, the Chiefs and the Thunder. Hey, I'm a Thunder fan, too. I am ecstatic about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're going to win this series and bring home that first NBA championship to OKC. That'll be fantastic. Can't wait to be at the parade and see it all for myself. Who else we got? We got Paul saying 14-3. Aiden says 14-3/15-2. Aiden, you got to pick one. You got to pick one. What else we got here? Rated Dog saying 15-2. Ox saying 14-3. Mark Lloyd saying 1. They're going to win one game. I hope they win more than one game. That would not be great. What else we got here? Loren says, Tyler, come up and go to the Goats home opener. I'll buy the beer. Loren, where are we going? Who are the Goats? What am I missing here? I appreciate the invite, but I don't understand the context. What did I miss with your comment? Antonio says 14-3. Greg says 15-2. Mark says 15-3. Oh, in St. Joe. Okay. Maybe so, Loren. You're telling me free beer? That's hard to turn down. That would be hard to turn down. Maybe I need to make a trip to St. Joe potentially sometime soon. What else we got here? KC70 saying 13-4. Lots of changes on the line. Tommy's going 12-5 is his prediction there. Joining me today, as always, is none other than the one and only, the incomparable Big Tex is here. And, folks, if you would like a chance to get a shout-out from Big Tex, all you got to do is spam C in the chat over this next minute. First off, Big Tex, happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday.
Tony is asking about a trampoline. Is that good for cardio?
I imagine so, yeah. I think gymnasts use them a lot to practice flips, especially the ones that work on like the open springboard. If they use I've used them before. We used to have actually Olympic gymnast arena kind of stadium place around my house growing up in Coppell, and you can jump very high with them, and you can get exhausted very quick. So I would imagine it's probably pretty good cardiovascular training if you did like circuit jumps or something, Tony. Yeah, check it out, but be safe, man. Those things will send you flying.
Tex, I would say that if you're going to get on a trampoline, you got to have some girls with you.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird to do it by yourself. I feel like it'd be better in a group setting.
With some chicks, that'd be quite the sight. You get a nice visual.
Exactly.
That's what you want to do if you're going to get on a little trampoline.
There you go, Tony. Listen to Tyler.
Yes, exactly. Let's go ahead and get some shout-outs. Tex will show you guys some love here. Let's get as many C's as we can over this next minute. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Ox, Tony, Paul, Aiden, Paul, Tony, rated dog. Ox, Paul, Aiden, Loren. What's up, Loren? Paul, rated dog. Tony, Loren, Paul, Rio, Aiden, Paul, Loren, Pony. Paul, Tony, can bide your name. Sorry. Loren, Garden, Tony, Aiden, Loren, Paul, Aiden. Let's get some new names in there. Ox, Aiden, Paul, Tony, Aiden, Ox, Below, or Ballo, however you say that. Tony L, there we go, there's a new one. KC, there's a new one. Garden, Aiden, Tony, Garden, Aiden, Garden. Let's get some new names in there. Come on, guys. Spam C, you want a shout out from Big Tex? I'm here joining you guys. Come on, giving shout outs. Paul.
Got 10 seconds left.
Aiden, Paul, Tony, Paul. That is a crazy comment, Tony. I'll get to that later. Tony, Paul, Aiden, Ox, Paul.
There we go.
Good stuff.
So Tony said the foam roller is the best relaxer.
I know what you mean, bro.
There's a lot of ways to take that.
I think I know what you mean.
I think we know what he means, but I'll leave it at that.
It's a medium pause.
Yeah, it's just a medium one. Thank you all for getting in the chat and doing that. Now, Big Tex, you have something that you need. You need a favor from the Chiefs Kingdom.
That's correct. It's a very simple favor, but I always find myself asking the same exact thing every single week, no matter how simple it is. So we're going to do it anyways. Please submit to me.
He said please.
I did. You're right. So I'm asking very humbly and generously. Please ask me questions about your Kansas City Chiefs, how it relates to the NFL, the team, the roster, whatever you want to know. You want to trade for a player? You want to sign a player in free agency? Ask about it. Talk about it. But make sure you use hashtag Chiefs space, then your question, or your question first, but then a space to separate it, and then hashtag Chiefs together. That's the critical part, is your question has to be separate from a combined hashtag Chiefs, just like it is in the question. And I even put it in the chat for you several times here. Thank you. Make my life easier. Appreciate y'all.
Simple as that. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions on the mailbag. I see Tony. He's got a good question this week. He's asking about cut candidates. That
Good
will
stuff,
work.
Tony.
I want to see trade ideas. I want to see free agency possibilities. Maybe you want to ask me what's going on in OTAs. I want all of your questions, and go ahead and start getting them in now, sooner than later, so we don't have to wait around. Get those questions in. Hashtag Chiefs Super Chat, and we'll have you covered, and we'll answer those questions later on in the show. So stay tuned for that in our final segment today. If you are ready to start today's show, I need you to like the video. We're at 19 likes right now. When we get to 30, we can get this thing started. I can open up my first can of cold beer for the day as well when you guys hit that like button, and we certainly appreciate it. When you guys hit the like button, let me know in the chat. Type me if you've liked the video, and I'll shout you out. I see Tony has already liked the video. Appreciate that, Tony. And some more questions coming in. Very good to see all the questions starting to roll in for the mailbag. Loren has liked the video. Paul has liked the video. That puts us at 22 now. I need 8 more, and then we can get rolling here. Paul, Pat, Aiden. We're still at 22. I need 8 more, folks. 8 more, and then we can get this show started. Hit that like button and type me in the chat when you do so. I see we're at 23 likes right now. Blades has got a question. Ox has got a question. Very good job getting questions in, folks. Keep them rolling. Keep them coming for that final segment. 28 likes now. 2 more away. Rated Dog liked it. Mark liked it. Who's going to put us over the top, get us to 30? One more, and then we're good to go. One more, that's all I need. Get us to 30. Blades liked it. Mark, Rated Dog, Aiden. One more, and then we'll be good to get this show started. I'm not doing anything else until we reach 30 likes. We will wait here as long as we possibly need, folks. One more like, and then we'll be good to go and get off and rolling. There we go, 30 likes. Much appreciated. Cheers to the entire Chiefs Kingdom. Happy Tuesday to you. Go Chiefs. All right, there we go. So that is 30 likes. Thanks for making that happen. Here is what's coming up on this edition. Oh, wait, let's go to the Super Chat menu. Let's go to the Super Chat menu, and then I will tell you what's ahead here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If you would like to get involved in today's show, by all means, send us a Super Chat. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 give you a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 will do a beer bong. I don't care how little or how small the Super Chat is. We're going to go crazy for whoever sends us the first Super Chat of the day. So, folks, you send $1, you send in $200. I don't care. We're going to have a good time no matter what. So, by all means, hit that $sign next to the chat box, send us a Super Chat. And if you got a question, your question will get answered first in the mailbag segment we'll be bringing you here in our final segment today. So, that is the Super Chat menu as follows. Coming up on today's program, we got some news and rumors on Isiah Pacheco to get to. Then we will explain in our second segment how the Chiefs have fixed their biggest flaw on the offensive line. And then in segment 3, I will tell you why I believe the Chiefs wide receivers will shock the NFL this season. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A rumors mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. So that is what we have going on. Ox is asking, how do you send a Super Chat? $sign next to the chat box, and you can Super Chat as you feel. Send in as much money as you want, whatever floats your boat, and we'll get you that screen time with a Super Chat. That's how you can do that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Our first segment, we're talking Isiah Pacheco, as we have a 4-segment live today. Our first segment coming at you here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, which begins right now. Kansas City Chiefs fans, I got some great news for you on running back Isiah Pacheco. We'll tell you everything you need to know coming up in just a matter of moments here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we get to the great news on Isiah Pacheco, folks, I got a challenge for the kingdom today. My father, he is coming into town on Thursday. He'll be here for a few days. And I was thinking, you know what? I want to show my dad a good time. And so here's what I have come up with. I am willing to buy a shot for every new subscriber that we pick up off of today's video for my dad. Could be one shot, could be 5, could be 10, 20, 50, whatever it is. If you want my dad to have a good time, subscribe to the channel for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. You'll get daily news and rumors, live shows each and every Tuesday, be a part of our breaking news, our Q&A mailbags, and more. And you could get my dad hammered in the process. Does that sound like a win-win? I think it does. Let's get Dad hammered, and we'll begin today's show. We have great news on running back Isiah Pacheco to get to here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, as we have the latest from OTAs that have been going on over the last few days. And Pacheco, he has, folks, bulked up this offseason. And before you wonder, why is that significant here, hear me out on this. We'll explain a little bit further. Last year when Isiah Pacheco went down with the injury, and did not look like his normal self. Part of what happened, and I don't think too many people know this, was that he lost a decent amount of weight. That him not being able to work out accordingly when he was coming back from that injury affected his playing weight. And he was not necessarily out of shape, but he wasn't his normal self. And according to Pacheco, it affected that aggressive run style that we all know and love from Isiah Pacheco. He was not feeling his typical self. And so over the last couple of months, and he's continued to do this as well, he has hit the weight room in order to try to get back to the Isiah Pacheco we all know and love. Here's more from Pacheco. Just going back to 216, 4.37 Isiah Pacheco style. You're out there working your tail off and you're just sweating every day and not eating enough to get the weight back. There's not going to be as much time to gain weight during the season rather than the offseason and the whole program that they have here for us. To put it simply, he wasn't his normal self last year. And if you go back prior to the injury, week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals, he was fantastic before he got hurt, and he looked like his normal self, right? But then when you factor in, coming back from injury, and then he wasn't at his normal playing weight, then that starts to add up of why he didn't look right. And he lacked the angry runs. I know that I got some people watching that are big fans of Good Morning Football, and Kyle Brandt's always talking about those angry runs all the time, and we've seen Isiah Pacheco in that segment quite a bit over the years. And that just wasn't who he was at the end of last season. And I would say this, too. We're going to get you a quote from Andy Reid here in just a moment. But as I further investigated this injury and Isiah Pacheco losing some weight and not being at his normal shape, that's not an unusual thing for a fibula injury. The same thing happened to Tony Pollard a couple of years ago with the Dallas Cowboys. And then the next year, after he came back, then he started to look like his former self. So there is reason to be optimistic that Isiah Pacheco's best days are not behind him. And he's caught the attention of his head coach, Andy Reid, as well. Andy saying this. He put on a couple of pounds of good weight. He got himself down there a little bit last year and leaned up. But, man, I think he looks tremendous right now. I think this is all a really good sign. And we won't know for sure till we see it with our own eyes on the football field in live game action. But nonetheless, it is a step in the right direction of seeing that Isiah Pacheco that we saw prior to this injury, that he can make that return and get back up to full strength. Do you believe in Isiah Pacheco? Is he still the guy? I'm still all in on Isiah Pacheco. I haven't lost any faith in his capabilities. What do you guys think? Be honest with me. It's our pinned comment today. Type B for believe, D for don't. Weigh in the comment section and let us know. So a couple other interesting points. Not only did he just not have a proper recovery from that injury at the end of last season, and his play weight was affected, but according to Pacheco, just being real and honest with the folks, and I appreciate him for opening up about this. He said all of this affected his mental health. And football is very much a mental game in having your confidence, right? And Pacheco, one of the things he touched on was that as he's gone through this process over the last couple of months, that he's been able to regain his confidence, that his confidence has come back, which I think is another huge thing and a step in the right direction of Pacheco getting back on track in that sense. Pacheco said this, you're out there working your tail off and you're just sweating every day and not eating enough to get the weight back is not going to be as much time to gain weight during the season rather than the off season and the whole program they have for us. He looks healthier from what we've seen of the small sample size of the visuals, the videos, and all that. he does look like he's starting to get back to his old self. And this is what we're talking about when it comes to Isiah Pacheco, of just the difference from what he was in his first two seasons compared to his third year in 2024. And a lot of it had to do with the offensive line and the issues that were there. We saw in the second half of the year the run game, not just with Pacheco, but really as a whole, kind of disappeared. Pacheco in his first two seasons averaged about 4.7 yards per carry. And last year, that number was down a total yard to 3.7 yards per carry. And I think with Pacheco, what you have to consider is that not only does Pacheco have that talent and that capabilities, and we've seen what he can do at a high level, but I think when it comes to this playing weight and all, he's got to find a way to stay that way. And it's twofold. It's keep the playing weight that he wants, but also staying healthy as well, and avoiding any setbacks in those sense. If he can do those two things, and the mental health is all good and everything, then I feel very confident about Isiah Pacheco. There has been a lot made, especially in the drive-by media, about the running back room in Kansas City and not being good enough. We had heard rumblings that Isiah Pacheco had kind of fallen out of grace with head coach Andy Reid towards the end of last year. And Kareem Hunt didn't look that great in the second half of the season. Rashee Smith you bring in, but he's a rookie and he's a little small. There is a lot of rumblings about, hey, maybe this running back room is not good enough for Kansas City, that they need to go get some help at the running back position. But I'll say this, if Pacheco gets back to his old self, then all of the issues and the concerns, as long as the offensive line is doing their part, those can be fixed by Isiah Pacheco by himself. Pacheco has had a very good start to his NFL career. For the former seventh-round pick out of Rutgers, a two-time Super Bowl champion, led the Chiefs in rushing yards in 2022 and in 2023. And here's what we're talking about, those numbers of the fall-off that we saw in 2024 compared to 2023 and 2022. He had a breakout season that rookie year, taking over as RB1 with 830 yards and nearly 5 yards a carry. Then in 2023, his yards per carry was down, but his yards overall was up nearly 1,000 with 935, and his touchdowns were up to 7 touchdowns. But outside of that Week 2 game against the Cincinnati Bengals, we didn't really see a ton from Isiah Pacheco last season, as he was limited to just 310 yards off 83 carries and played in just 7 games in the regular season. So, will Isiah Pacheco be the Chiefs' leading rusher this season? Is he going to bounce back and be that RB1 and be his old self again? You got 2 options here. Type Y for yes, in for no. Get your predictions in now and let me know if Pacheco's going to have a big season or not. Folks, we got a great deal we are offering Chiefs fans right now. It is a framed, signed, printed Mahomes jersey with free shipping. Yes, not just the Mahomes jersey, but also framed and with free shipping as well. And it comes at a great price. You're going to want to get this. It's going to be fantastic for the man cave or wherever you want to put it. I certainly want this thing. Maybe somebody's going to order it for me. Father's Day is coming up around the corner. Maybe you're looking for a gift for dad. Get this for him. chatsports.com/Mahomes15 to get yours now. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/Mahomes15 to get yours. We also have other Chiefs merchandise available at that same link. Go check it out now, and you'll be glad you did. Some final thoughts here on Pacheco. I believe, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, when he's healthy, I believe Isiah Pacheco is a top 5 running back in the National Football League. And this is a make-or-break year for Isiah Pacheco. The Chiefs have openly said, hey, we're not opening up contract discussions right now. We got to see if you are going to get back to 100% and if you can stay healthy, and then we'll have that discussion down the line. It is a crucial time for Isiah Pacheco. I am hopeful that Isiah Pacheco is going to have a big year. and be that guy that we all know and love. But if not, and I feel like we're going to have this answer pretty quickly here, if Isiah Pacheco doesn't look right, I don't think that this is something that you have to address right now if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think that they need to be making a big trade or a big free agent signing and go get another RB1 at this point in time. But if Isiah Pacheco struggles and if Smith or Hunt aren't good enough, then maybe it's around the trade deadline or something like that you can revisit this later and address your options. Or if Pacheco gets hurt again, whatever it may be. But I think for now, the Chiefs are in good shape. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Doesn't cost you a thing. 100% free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. That is one down. 3 more to go. Will Pacheco lead the Chiefs in rushing this season? I want to bring Big Tex back in for a moment, our workout guru. I'm sure he's got some thoughts on all this Pacheco stuff. And where he's at recovering from that fibula injury and putting his playing weight back on. Tex, let me just get your analysis on the situation here. Does that add up from Pacheco that the fibula injury and all that made him lose some weight and explain more why we didn't see him as his normal self when he came back?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a great question. So when you have any kind of like ligament or soft tissue injury as an athlete, especially in a contact sport like American tackle football.
Someone's been listening to the show.
That's right. I am a frequent listener of the Chiefs Report. But if you're recovering from a soft tissue injury, like Pacheco was, or slash is still, it takes time to recover, obviously. And in the process of recovery, the recovery process, you're going to be limited in what you can work out. You're going to be limited in how much you can eat, like he was talking about. It's tough to maintain the same weight and work out at the same, intensity level and the same duration when you literally have a part of your body that ripped off and has to be repaired and has to regrow and find a new foundation. And it's never going to be the exact same either. He's always going to have to be more careful because once you rip a ligament, you run the risk of re-ripping it, which is kind of terrifying to think about. But hopefully he stays healthy. And I think once he does get up to full speed with the recovery process, I think that weight will come back even more, and we'll see kind of what I would argue is a very similar, if not better, version to what 2023 was, where he had nearly 1,000 yards.
I think, too, Tex, the fact that he's saying, like, hey, I need to put that weight back on, that he's addressed that, because it could have been one thing of, like, just getting healthy. He did that. He got healthy last year, but then taking a step back and be like, oh, wait, no, there's still something not right here. I have a good feeling, and Dr. Rick Burkholder is one of the best medical doctors in the NFL, the Chiefs head trainer. To me, that's a really good sign that they kind of narrowed it down. Okay, yeah, we fixed it, but something was still off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always value a medical professional's opinion over ours. Like, we like to say that we know, like, a lot about football, but we're not scientists. We're not, neurosurgeons. Like, we don't know the inner workings of, like, ligament damage and recovery and repair. But that's why we bring you sources that do, so that it gives more insight into the situation, gives Chiefs fans a better understanding of what's going on with Pacheco's recovery and, where he's at from a professionally medical standpoint.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Will he lead the team in rushing this year? Paul says yes. Tony says yes. Loren says yes. Ox says yes. Everybody's on the same page that Pacheco's going to have a big season. Guillermo's saying yes as well. Super Chat menu, if you would like to get on today's show. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. You get priority in our mailbag segment, our final segment of today's show. First time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 give you a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 get a beer bong. I did not know we had this photo. Oh, nice. And then just send that to me. I might do that for the thumbnail instead. We will be talking about the offensive line and their flaws that have been fixed. Different L3. That's the next segment. We will explain what exactly is going on there. There we go. And get to that. And then in our third segment, we're talking about why I think the Chiefs receiver is going to shock the NFL. And then we'll do a mailbag. Continue to get those questions in using hashtag Chiefs or super chatting, and we'll answer them coming up in our final segment. Let's continue now. Segment number 2, why I believe the Chiefs have fixed their biggest flaw. We'll explain that right now as we continue here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Coming up on today's show, we are going to explain why I believe the Kansas City Chiefs have fixed their biggest flaw heading into 2025. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Before we go any further in today's show, folks, I got to challenge our new Broncos breakdown host, Trace Moustakis. You know him as Creepy TikTok Guy. He put out a little challenge out there saying that he doesn't believe we could get 400 likes on today's video. And I said, Moose, you're crazy in more ways than one. We can easily get 400 likes on today's video. We got the best fans in the NFL. You haven't won the division in 9 years. You have no room to be talking smack whatsoever. So back me up on this, folks. Back me up on this. Spam F Moose in the chat if you feel like it as well. Smash that like button, and we will get started with this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Hit that like button, and we will get going here. Who is stopping us now? That is the question the Kansas City Chiefs fans should be asking themselves after the offensive line situation. I'll start here. Who is stopping us now? That is the question that Chiefs fans should be asking themselves after Brett Veach and Andy Reid addressed the offensive line this offseason after a rough go in 2024, especially when it came to protecting Patrick Mahomes. In 2024, the Chiefs allowed a total of 41 sacks. That was the 16th most of any team in the NFL. But the biggest issue was number 15. Patrick Mahomes took 36 total sacks himself. The other 5 were Carson Wentz getting sacked 5 times in Week 18 against Denver. But that was the most that Patrick Mahomes has taken in his entire career. And here's the bottom line, folks. Patrick Mahomes, we love the guy, but we've seen him banged up a little bit in his career. Had a little bum ankle at one point just this past season. And we are very fortunate with how much the offensive line struggled, particularly on the left side at left tackle, that it wasn't anything worse. All right? I am so thrilled, hindsight being 2020, as much as I would have loved the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this past year, at least they got there, and Patrick Mahomes came out alive. In all honesty, I mean, with how bad the offensive line play was at the left tackle spot, things could have been a lot worse. Good news is there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, you did move on from Joe Thuney. You traded him. But here is what the Chiefs have done to address the offensive line. You drafted Josh Simmons in the first round, pick number 32, out of the Ohio State. We'll talk more about him coming up later. You signed Jalen Moore in free agency from the San Francisco 49ers, who is going to compete with Simmons for that starting left tackle job. You signed Isiah Pacheco as a UDFA, and Pacheco, I'll say this, I don't know if he's going to make the roster necessarily, but this is a guy I thought was going to get drafted. He is one of, if not the best UDFAs out there. Dalton Cooper, you also signed as a UDFA out of Oklahoma State. He was another player I thought was going to get drafted, a very good UDFA signing. And then Tremaine Antrim Jr., you signed him in free agency. We'll see if he makes the roster, but he was a part of a Super Bowl championship with the LA Rams. He has a decent amount of experience. I thought you did a pretty good job with the new faces in the new places that you brought in the O-line here in Kansas City. And that's on top of Mike Caliendo re-signed. And Mike Caliendo did a decent job when he started the left guard spot when they moved Joe Thuney over to left tackle, really up until the Super Bowl. Even if he's a backup, I'll gladly take Mike Caliendo on my team in a relatively cheap contract. And then Kingsley is moving over from the offensive tackle spot to the offensive guard position. Kingsley struggled a bit last year, if we're going to be frank. And one of the issues was his lack of arm length. And moving to the guard spot should be better suited for him anyway. So whether he wins the job or not, I think that he should dramatically improve. So with all that said, essentially here is what you've done if you're Brett Veach and Andy Reid with this offensive line. You have basically 4 different options at your disposal between Simmons, Moore, Caliendo, and Kingsley at 2 positions. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect right away. It might take some tinkering of finding out who's best for those jobs and what specific roles they play. But as a betting man, and I am a betting man, believe me, much to the chagrin of my mother, I think something is going to work just when you look at the odds. Is it the Hunger Games? They say, may the odds be in your favor. Big Text does confirm. It is the Hunger Games. Shout out Jennifer Lawrence. I think the odds are in your favor with 4 different options at 2 spots. And if there's an injury, then you still have other possibilities as well. So, is the Chiefs' offensive line fixed? Is everything kosher now? Are we good? Sound off, Kingdom. Let me know. Type Y for yes, in for no. Chime in the comments section and tell me what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Do you know ball? There's only 1 series left of the playoffs, and the championship is officially on the line. That means time is running out for you to put your final takes to the test on Prize Picks, the best place to win cash in your favorite sports. This year's basketball playoffs are headed towards crowning a first-time champ in more than 50 years. Don't miss your last chance to cash in on history with Prize Picks. Pick more or less on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. The basketball playoffs are wrapping up, but the action is still heating up on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Download the app today. Use code CLS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Here is what I got for game number 1. You know I'm rooting on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's see the Thunder bring home that championship. They call him the free throw merchant. I think that's disrespectful, but I think SGA does a very good job of getting to the foul line in game 1 against Indiana. I got the more on him with 10.5 free throw attempts. I think Miles Turner gets more than 5 rebounds, and Tyrese Halliburton will go less on 17.5 points. If I put $20 down, all 3 of those hit, that turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Check out Prize Picks. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Promo code CLNS. Prize Picks. Run your game. Check out Prize Picks today. You'll be glad you did. So here's another thing that you didn't have last year that you have now. You have depth on that side of the offensive line. Now, the reports that we've seen, all indications are that Josh Simmons is on track to win the starting left tackle position. And we've heard Andy Reid say that the left guard spot is between Kingsley and Caliendo as of right now. But I still think there's a possibility if Simmons wins the left tackle job that Moore moves over to the left guard spot. With that said, if Simmons wins the left tackle job, I think that's a really good sign for the Kansas City Chiefs because that means that Simmons as a rookie is well ahead of schedule in his development, that he's 100% recovered from injury, and that he's in good shape. With that said, he's still going to have to take the job from Jalen Moore. If the season started today, Jalen Moore would still be your starting left tackle, and Kingsley would likely be your starting left guard. But with Simmons there, with Caliendo, you got options to work with if you're the Kansas City Chiefs at this spot. And it's a very good thing because it goes back to one of the things that's been a theme of this show for the last couple of months when we've talked about the offensive line of what you have now compared to what you had previously. You have strength in numbers. And I think the key for the Chiefs when it comes to this offensive line situation, and I think it's in particular with Jalen Moore here, is you treat it like a basketball starting five. Basketball has become so positionless, right? I think if you're the Chiefs, you need to think about this offensive line being positionless. I just want to come up with the best five combination possible out there. If Jalen Moore has to play guard, if Simmons has to play guard potentially, if Kingsley just looks fantastic at the guard spot, whatever it may be, I just want the best five out there and make it work. Don't be afraid to move around. And we looked at last year. It paid off tremendously for the Chiefs. Kansas City would not have gotten to the Super Bowl last year had Joe Thuney not moved over to the left tackle position. I think we all can confidently say that. And if I'm Andy Reid, I think I'm keeping that mindset again of just stay flexible and see the best you can come up with. Who should be the starting left tackle for Kansas City? Should it be Josh Simmons or should it be Jalen Moore? Type JS for Josh Simmons. Type JM for Jalen Moore. Sound off the comment section. Let me know which one you're leaning towards. Folks, want to make sure you subscribe to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we're bringing you daily news and rumors. We have live shows each and every Tuesday, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day, breaking news, Q&A, mailbags, and more. We are the most interactive Chiefs channel on YouTube, and I want you to make sure you're subscribed and stay up to date with everything happening on your favorite team throughout the entire offseason right here on the channel. Doesn't cost you a thing. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Back to 15, Patrick Mahomes. Protect your biggest asset. He is the most talented quarterback I have ever seen. He is the best quarterback in the league. And God forbid, we don't want anything to happen to him. And that's what this is all about, is protecting 15. And you have options now. And you wonder, okay, so how is this fixed all of a sudden? You got new bodies in, but what are the numbers to necessarily back this up? Let's focus on Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore here for a second. Let's start with Simmons. Granted, it was at the college level, but he did play in the Big Ten for Ohio State, a team that won a national championship, faced a lot of big hog mollies on the defensive line, and Josh Simmons did what he was supposed to do. He only allowed 1 sack in the last 2 seasons. Andy Reid has already called him a cornerstone piece to this Kansas City Chiefs team. And then your other option, Jalen Moore, whether he wins the left tackle job or he's playing guard or even if he's just a backup. He'd be a hell of a backup to have coming off the bench. He did a great job filling in for Trent Williams there in San Francisco last year. He's only allowed 2 sacks in the last 2 seasons. Andy Reid said when Moore has opportunity, he's good. And now he's got a potential opportunity, the biggest in front of him of his career. We'll see if he can capitalize and if he can deliver for Kansas City. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. Let's stick it to Broncos Breakdown. Show them why we have the best fans in the league. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. Halfway home. Up next, we will tell you why the Chiefs wide receivers will shock the NFL, but tell us who should be the starting left tackle. You lean towards Josh Simmons or Jalen Moore. Type JS for Josh Simmons. Type JM for Jalen Moore. Paul says Simmons. Blades is saying maybe Jalen Moore plays right tackle. So bench Jawan Taylor. That's interesting. Ox says Josh Simmons. Blades says Jalen Moore. Tony saying Josh Simmons. Stanley says I want the best at the spot. Tony says Josh Simmons. Tim checking in from Wichita. Loren says Josh Simmons. I honestly don't care. I'm in the same boat as Stanley. I want the best guy to win. I think if you made me choose, I think I'd lean towards Simmons because I think that'd be a better sign of where things are at. But let's just get the best 5 out there and roll from there. as far as that goes. Still waiting on our first Super Chat of the day. Haven't seen one come in yet. I told you we're going to go crazy for the first one that comes in. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 will do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 to do a beer bong. And your questions for the mailbag, our final segment, those will get answered first. Up next, let's explain why the Chiefs wide receivers will shock the NFL in 2025. I got 4 reasons in particular that stand out to me of why I think that these Chiefs receivers are going to do a fantastic job this year. We'll get to that as we continue. Segment 3 of the Kids City Chiefs Report continues right now. Coming up on today's show, we will explain why I believe the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiving core is going to shock the NFL in 2025. Really, since Tyreek Hill departed, the Chiefs receiving core has not been that great. We saw a little bit of improvement last year, but for the most part, Patrick Mahomes has been winning these Super Bowls in spite of his receivers, not because of them. In 2025, that's going to change. More to come here in a moment. But first, that guy right there, Rashee Rice, he's making his return. He's fully healthy. We're going to talk plenty about him in just a moment. If you're excited about Rashee Rice-A-Roni's return to Kansas City, fully healthy in 2025, spam 4 in the comments. Who knows? He could be watching or somebody close to him. We want to make our voices heard loud and clear. We're rooting on Rashee Rice in 2025. Let's get at least 300 4s in that comment section, and we'll get started on today's show. What's funny to me is when I listen to the talking heads bring up the Chiefs receiving core, all of them think that this group isn't good enough, that it's got its flaws and all this. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what are you talking about? Like, to me, this is a really good group. I think this is the best receiving core the Chiefs have had since Tyreek Hill left town. And let's kind of go back to last season at first. Here is a look at the Chiefs' leading returning receivers that will be back on the roster in 2025. Travis Kelce coming off a season where he had 823 yards and 3 touchdowns off of 97 catches. Xavier had a solid rookie campaign and a strong second half of the season. He was named the Chiefs Team Rookie of the Year with 59 catches for 638 yards and 6 touchdowns. That was the most of true receivers on this team when it came to receptions and yardage. Noah Gray had a breakout season as the Chiefs' number 2 tight end. He was able to haul in 40 catches for 437 yards, 5 touchdowns, had a couple multi-touchdown games on the season. His average per catch was higher than both Worthy and Kelce at 10.9. Rashee Rice, even though he only played in the first 4 games, he made quite the impact in those first 4 games, might I add you, with 24 catches, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 yards of reception. And then there's our old friend Juju, who played good against the Saints. Didn't really do a ton as he finished the year with 18 catches for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. So here is a look at the Chiefs wide receiver depth chart heading into 2025. Xavier Worthy, he will be on the left side. Hollywood Brown, who we did not see much of at all last year, he will be on the right side. Rashee Rice in the slot. Sky Moore is technically still around. Jalen Royals, we'll talk more about him coming up in just a bit. They drafted Thornton's impressed at OTAs. Maybe he's got a chance to make the roster. Juju's still there. Nico, we know what he can do on special teams. I think this is going to be a very good group. And here are my 4 reasons to believe. Shout out Ted Lasso. Believe! Let's start with Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice in 2025, he is going to become a top 10 receiver in the National Football League. And the reason why I say that, we've already seen it. He was playing at a top 10 level prior to the injury last year with the start that he had to the season. He had a strong rookie campaign with 938 yards, 7 touchdowns, 79 catches. And then last year started off red hot. He was going 100 miles an hour in those first 4 games with 24 catches, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 yards of reception. Rashee Rice was fantastic. But then the injury happened. His season was over with. Since then, though, he's already back to work. In fact, he took part in a voluntary workout in Texas with Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes saw Rashee Rice firsthand and said this: expectations are high. I mean, he looks really good. He's running routes. He's catching the football. When we get back into actual OTAs, how much he'll be able to do, but he's been able to do everything here as far as running routes and everything like that. And Mahomes has said that he has high expectations for Rashee Rice. Do you believe in Rashee Rice? Is Rashee Rice going to have a bounce-back season in 2025? You got 2 options here. Type B for believe, D for don't. Answer our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. Folks, I want to make sure you're subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we bring you our daily news and rumors. We have live shows each and every Tuesday. We have all of the Chiefs coverage you could ever want here on the channel, talking everything from free agency to trades, OTAs, minicamp, counting you down to training camp, and it's every single day. You have no reason not to be here with us every single day. And the easiest way that you can be informed when we have that new content is just by hitting that subscribe button. 100% free, doesn't cost you a thing. We got 72,000 strong on the channel. I want to get to 100,000, but we need you to subscribe to help us get there. Subscribe now, youtube.com/ChiefsTV to join the family today. You'll be glad you did. Let's talk about Xavier Worthy. He is worthy. Been a while since I've gotten to say that. Xavier Worthy, good finish to the season. There was, I would say, to put it kindly, some unfair bullshit that I feel was talked about when it came to Xavier Worthy, especially in the first half of last season, of people calling him a gadget player. And, yeah, sure, they used him in the run game. Okay. Deebo Samuel's was used in the run game in San Francisco. That doesn't mean he's a gadget player. Ever heard of Percy Harvin? He had a pretty decent career as well. So I never liked that talk, that discussion. I think what we saw from Xavier Worthy and how reliable he became and was the go-to receiver for Patrick Mahomes, he proved more that he is far beyond a gadget player and that he is a valuable piece to this Chiefs offense. You don't get 98 targets as a gadget player, okay? They saw something in him, and it worked. 6 touchdowns, 638 receiving yards. He was used effectively in the run game as well, 5.2 yards reception, 3 touchdowns, 104 rushing yards. And most of that was in the second half of the season. Just wait, folks. Let's see what happens now as he takes on a bigger role and takes that step forward. Xavier Worthy had this to say on entering 2025, his second season. The end of last year was kind of like a stepping stone for me, just learning and getting a better feel for what Mahomes likes, and I started feeling like that got better at the end of the year. So just continue that and use that momentum. And now the question becomes, what is Xavier Worthy's ceiling? Can he become an elite wide receiver in the National Football League? What do you guys think? Predict it for me. Type Y for yes, N for no. What's your thoughts on Xavier Worthy? Can he become elite wideout or not? Weigh in and tell us what you think. So one thing that should be different, and it's something that's coming back to the Chiefs offense that I think is going to be a difference with this receiving core, is the vertical passing game making its return. The ability to stretch the field. It was something that was the bread and butter of the Kansas City Chiefs early in the Mahomes era, especially with Tyreek Hill, with how much they were able to attack defenses. And then 2 things happened. One, the receiving core got a lot worse, and that hurt your abilities to be able to stretch the field. But 2, we saw teams playing the 3 high safety look, and we're trying to take the top off from Patrick Mahomes, where they didn't want to get beat deep by him. And Mahomes, as a result, actually became a better quarterback because he wasn't just chucking it up there so much and wasn't taking as many gambles. But now that Mahomes has matured in that sense, and now that the receiving core is better and faster and more vertical than it's been in quite some time. I expect that vertical passing game to make a return, and that's something that Patrick Mahomes has talked about this offseason. If you take a look at the analytics from 2024, the deep passing game from Patrick Mahomes, the completion percentage was not very high, 29.6% on deep passes. That's 20 yards or more. But when he did complete them, it was a big difference. 589 yards off of 16 completions is pretty good. About 11 yards per pass attempt, even with all those incompletions. 6 touchdowns, did result in 4 interceptions, however. But PFF, those nerds, they gave Mahomes a deep passing grade of 87.9. That's near the top, right up there with the best of the National Football League. And Mahomes talking about bringing back the vertical passing game. He said our job is to test the defense down the field. We have to get back to doing that if we want to open up other guys underneath. And you think about it, Worthy speed, Hollywood Brown, who we didn't see much of last year, and you also factor in Rashee Rice and all that. There will be opportunities to do this where you can stretch the field. I think the Chiefs receivers, because of all those options, and we haven't even talked about Jalen Royals yet, who we'll talk about in a moment, that is going to create the ability where defense is like, okay, we're going to try the 3 safety thing, but we can't cover everybody. Somebody's going to be left open, and that's going to create those opportunities downfield for Patrick Mahomes and company to be able to capitalize there. Now, who's going to be the Chiefs' leading receiver this year? Will it be Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice? Does Jalen Royals get it done? Who leads the team in receiving? Tell me in the comment section who you think that is. Speaking of 15, we have a framed Patrick Mahomes signed jersey, a printed signed jersey on sale now with free shipping at chatsports.com/Mahomes15. This will look fantastic in your man cave, my friends. Why would you not want this thing? It's got a great price as well. You can go check it out and see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Mahomes15 to get yours now. And we also have other Chiefs merchandise available at that same link. Check it out today, chatsports.com/Mahomes15 to get yours today. Last on our list of reasons to believe, I think Jalen Royals, the 4th-round rookie out of Utah State, is really going to come along, and he is going to emerge nicely for the Kansas City Chiefs and be a natural fit. We talked about the vertical passing game a few moments ago. Jalen Royals has experience with that. He also has been a very good possession receiver as well. He'll find a spot to fit into this offense, and I expect him to move up very quickly on this depth chart, past Sky Moore, past Juju Smith-Schuster, and be an immediate impact player, assuming that he's 100% healthy from that injury that he suffered. You look at these statistics in 7 games last year, in just 7 games. And I know it's at Utah State, but even with that said, you do these numbers, I don't care if you're playing for redheaded little sisters of the poor college. Those are really good numbers. 55 catches, 834 yards, over 15 receptions, 6 touchdowns, 3 drops. I think Jalen Royals, his game is going to translate very well in this offense. Lance Erline of NFL Media gave the scouting report on him before the draft and said he's an excellent zone beater, and uses plus body control and play strength to bring in catches in traffic. Royals is a smooth athlete who can play inside or outside and is best suited for an offense that will value him as a possession target over the first 2 levels. So there you have it. I'm all in. This receiving core I think is going to be fantastic, as is, without even bringing anybody else in. They still might add somebody potentially. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you are a real one, a real member of the Chiefs Kingdom. Spam real one in the comments section. We'll see you next time here on the KC Chiefs Report. All right. 3 down. 1 to go. We'll get to our news and rumors mailbag segment in a moment. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Who will lead the Chiefs in receiving this year? Tex, honestly, I think it's Rashee Rice. I think another thing, too, like Travis Kelce, I think is not going to be the number one option in this offense anymore, and that's okay because Travis Kelce's not the same tight end he used to be. He's still very good, but he's not what he used to be. I think Rashee Rice is the answer I would go with, but I'm not sleeping on Xavier Worthy either. I think also kind of part of it, and I didn't mention this in the video, depends on what the suspension situation is going to be with potentially with Rashee Rice, but I would expect that it's Rice 1. I think he can go over 1,100. And I think Xavier can get in that 900 range. And if Xavier gets to 900, I think they're thrilled with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go a little bullish on my take. I think Rashee Rice will top out at like 1,250 or 1,300 yards. And I think they'll have 2 1,000-yard receivers. I think Worthy will have like 150.
That'd
like
be fantastic.
That'd be great. Or maybe even 1,100. And I think it'll be like 1,250 to like 1,350 for Rashee Rice, and I think Rice will probably have like 8 to like 10 touchdowns, and Worthy maybe 7 to 8 still.
If they're doing that, this offense is scoring over 30 a game.
Yeah, they're gonna average 35 points a game if that's the case.
If that happens,
that would be electric.
And Mahomes is winning MVP. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna throw for. He's gonna break his touchdown record.
Yeah. Who will lead the team in receiving? Tony says either Worthy or Rice. I think that's what we all said. It'd be one of those two. Which one, though? Paul says Worthy. Tony's saying Worthy now. Blade's saying Rice. I don't care, honestly. I hope they both play great. But if you made me guess, I would go with Rashee Rice. Tex, how we doing on the mailbag? There's still time for people to get involved in the mailbag segment, right?
That's right. I'm going to throw the instructions in the chat for those that are watching. We're about to start our mailbag. Please use hashtag Chiefs, space, and your question, or your question, a space, and then hashtag Chiefs together. And you can ask anything about the Kansas City Chiefs as it relates to the team, the NFL, trades, free agency, anything like that. You got a comment that's, you got a crazy take about the Chiefs that you want to die on a hill about? We'll talk about it. Just make sure you use hashtag Chiefs, a space in your question, and we'll be able to pull it.
How are we doing on questions?
Take a look. Give me one moment.
I'm going to put about 1 minute on the clock. Give me about 2 or 3 more questions, and then we can get this mailbag segment started. And it will be our final segment before we wrap up today's program. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we will get you on the mailbag portion of today's show. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. And the Super Chat questions will be the ones that will be answered first. And then we'll go from there. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we'll have you covered. And that will be our final segment before we wrap up and call it a day. So I see Paul's in there. Ox is in there. Jeff is in there. Okay. I think we should be good. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Mailbag time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. And then we'll wrap up, and we will get out of here. Our poll question right now for you, will Isiah Pacheco lead the Chiefs in rushing this year? 69% of you. Nice. Saying yes, that he will. Okay. I think he will too. All right. Let's get going. Final segment, mailbag time, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. Let's continue here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report with our final segment beginning right now. It is time to touch our bags and drop our sacks on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. It is mailbag time. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. You got questions, you're in luck because I got answers. I've already seen what you guys are asking about some potential trades like Antonio Gibson, Zaven Collins, just to name a few. We'll answer all of those questions coming up here on today's show. Let's begin with Tony. Tony, you're in the mailbag this week. Hashtag Chiefs. Tyler, decide, Sky Moore, which other cut candidate do you want to see the Chiefs cut in August? Okay, so we're all on the same page. We want Sky Moore out of here. Okay. Let me say this before I make any enemies, because I know people really like this guy, and I like him too. But I think Carson Steele has got to go. The fumbling issue was not great last year, and I think they've upgraded the running back position with drafting Rashee Smith as well as bringing in Elijah Mitchell from San Francisco. I think both those guys are better than Carson Steele. I think that the Chiefs are not going to carry more than 4 running backs on the roster. I think that Carson Steele is the odd man out. That doesn't mean that he has to completely go bye-bye. He could potentially be on the practice squad, and if there's an injury, get that call up, and I would be fine with that. But that would be the name. I think Carson Steele is probably gone, as well as Sky Moore on that front. Thanks for the question, Tony. Paul is saying Isiah Pacheco 900 yards. Well, we talked about this week, that Isiah Pacheco, if he's 100% healthy, that he can be a top 5 running back in this league. We've seen it with our own eyes. So him staying healthy is objective number 1. But then getting back to his old self. And one of the things he's talked about is that with the fibula injury, he lost some weight. He didn't feel like his old self. And now he's put that weight back on. He's been eating better. He's been taking care of the little things. I think all signs point to, especially with the offensive line improved, that Isiah Pacheco can have a big year in 2025. And I don't think him having over 1,000 yards is out of the question, Paul. Jeff writes in, will the Chiefs finish better than 11-6? Hell yeah, they will. I mean, if they're finishing 11-6, then I'm saying to myself, okay, guess we're playing a wild card game then. We've seen them win a Super Bowl with an 11-6 season, so that doesn't mean it's the end of the world if they finish 11-6, but it doesn't necessarily make you feel great heading into the postseason. That would, in all likelihood, mean a road game or 2 in the divisional round or the AFC Championship. But I think this is a 14-win football team. And do I think they're the best team in the AFC? Absolutely I do. I think they're going to win home field advantage and be a 14-3 football team this year. And the reason why I even have them taking 3 L's is because the competition has gotten better. I mean, that schedule is not easy. Going to Brazil to take on the Chargers. Playing 2 Thursday night games. On top of that, too, like, you still got to face, the Bills on the road. You got to take on Philadelphia early in the season. You can't win them all. There will be some losses. I think 14-3 is a realistic expectation for the Chiefs. Folks, want to make sure you're subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report, but not just subscribe, but you also have your notifications turned on. Stay in the loop with everything happening with your Kansas City Chiefs and be a part of what we call the Noti Gang around here. Those are the ones that have their notifications turned on. They're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel from our daily news and rumors, our live shows, our Q&A mailbags, where we answer your questions live right here on the show each and every Tuesday. Maybe it's breaking news. Might be a random Wednesday night at midnight, Chiefs make a trade, and I get out of bed, head to my in-home studio in the Jones Zone, and we bring you a video reacting to it instantly on the channel. We are built different around here. So I want to make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on. If you're part of that Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comment section. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Goat Mahomes writes in, should Kansas City consider trading for Antonio Gibson? Antonio Gibson of the New England Patriots, former Washington Commanders running back, had that great season in 2021 where he rushed for over 1,000 yards and had 7 touchdowns, but hasn't really been the same guy since. Although his yards per carry was the highest in that 4-year stretch last season with 4.5 yards per carry. Only had 1 touchdown, though, with 538 yards. And he was behind just an awful offensive line in New England as well. But this kind of goes back to another topic as a whole that people are pointing to when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. There is a belief among many, especially in the national media, that this running back room is not good enough, that Pacheco isn't going to be the same player again, that Kareem Hunt is too old, and that Rashee Smith is not ready. And I'm just not buying into that narrative. I think that the Chiefs running back room is just fine, that they can get the job done with the pieces that they have. Now, folks, here's the deal. We're going to have the answer to this question, I think, pretty quickly when it comes to this running back situation. If it is not good enough, players of Antonio Gibson's caliber are going to be available at the trade deadline. Or if you need to go sign somebody in free agency, whatever, I would test and see what you got first and then potentially make a move for a running back if you need. But I'm very confident that Isiah Pacheco is going to have a bounce-back year and lead this team in rushing, and you won't need to worry about a guy like Antonio Gibson anyway. So I say no. Should the Chiefs trade for Antonio Gibson? It is our pinned comment today. You got two options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Garden Gnome says, do we have enough salary cap left to re-sign Trey Smith? Where there's a Veach, there's a way. The salary cap doesn't look great, but, that is with Trey Smith included on the franchise tag. It's the years ahead. What you'll likely do, I think if you're Brett Veach, is that you play Smith on the franchise tag this year, and the extension that he would eventually get goes into the years that follow to come. And we expect the salary cap to keep on jumping up, and it will be well over $300 million in no time. So do I know exactly what the numbers will be? No. In fact, nobody does. Nobody knows for certain what the salary cap is going to be next year. But we do know it will go up a bit. Yes, there is money. Trey Smith will get taken care of, and he's not going anywhere. Jen writes in, what about a trade for Xavier Collins? Xavier Collins, I know Xavier Collins fairly well. He played for the University of Tulsa. I was at a golf event with him, actually, last year in Phoenix. Very good guy. Xavier Collins, former first-round pick. He's been okay, not great. You look at his numbers, like 5 sacks last year was the best he's done in his career, but I expected more out of Xavier Collins when he entered the NFL. 3.5 sacks in 2023, 2 in 2022. You know, I think he's a decent football player, but he's just not great. And, you know, it all depends on the price. Like, if I can get him for next to nothing, I might be willing to take a chance. But I don't think that's something that you have to do if you're Kansas City. I think the defense is actually in a pretty good spot ahead of 2025, and that's not even counting the rookies that you expect to develop and everything. So am I opposed? No. Does it have to happen? Also no. Should the Chiefs trade for Xavier Collins? Type Y for yes, in for no. Sound off in the comments section. Tell me if you think they should make a move for Collins or not. Let me know. Aiden Gibson writes in, who's your favorite Chiefs player? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the answer. But if I can't say Patrick Mahomes, if I take 15 and 87 out of the equation here, I'm becoming a big Trent McDuffie fan. The Duff Man. I love the way he plays. He's got that dog in him. He does so many little things right. It is hard not to like Trent McDuffie's game. And people around the league outside of Kansas City are appreciating and noticing what Trent McDuffie's doing. Trent McDuffie would probably be my next choice. If I can't say 15 or 87, I love me some Trent McDuffie. I hope he's here for many years to come. Ox writes in, how are we going to attack the NFL this year? Well, a number of ways. The receiving game is going to stretch the field vertically more than we've seen in quite some time with Worthy and Brown and Rice and Royals and all that. I think the passing attack is going to be lethal. I think the offensive line is going to be improved. I think that the pass rush is going to be fantastic. Hopefully King Felix finally wakes up. Charles Omenihu is still around, along with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. They're going to attack teams in a number of ways. I think the secondary is going to play a big role in that. We mentioned McDuffie. I love the corners. You got plenty of options with Christian Fulton entering the fold. You also have, guys like Noel Williams who are coming in, who had 7 interceptions at Cal last year. You're going to be able to attack teams in a variety of different ways. 2 more questions. Loren writes in, what's your thoughts on Royals? Is he going to start? How amazing was his work in OTAs? Was really impressed, as good as reported. Yeah, he was great. I don't know if he's necessarily a starter. He'd have to beat out Hollywood Brown to do that, but it's not impossible. But I do think he'll play a significant role in this offense, Loren. And I think you'll see his role kind of increase as the year goes along. And especially if there's an injury of sorts, they're going to be calling on Royals right away to step into that role. So, yes, I have high hopes for Jalen Royals, and that he's going to be really good for a long time. Minshew, how is he looking in OTAs with a real class of receivers that are fast and accurate? I think he means to say Minshew, Gardner Minshew. I haven't heard much about Gardner Minshew, to be honest with you, but I'm not worried about Gardner Minshew. He's a backup, very experienced backup. He's done a good job as a backup in the past. Gardner Minshew, hopefully we don't have to hear from him much this year at all, but if he needs to spot start a game or two, I think Chiefs offense is going to be fine. If he has to start a lot of games, then that could be an issue. Subscribe now to the Kansas City Chiefs Report for continuing Chiefs coverage. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. There we have it, folks. A lot of fun today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for continuing Chiefs coverage, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. We'll be back to do it again next week, same time, same place, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Time. We'll have more coverage on the channel throughout the next coming days ahead as well. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody.